Welcome to free conference calling. The conference has not started. If you are the host, please enter your 4-digit host code to... We will now connect you to your call. You are the first attendee in this conference. The host has joined the conference.
Hey, what's up, brother? Tune in. Shalom. Okay, Israel. Yes, we ready. All right. Most High Chris bless your body. Okay, Israel. So all praises to the Most High for bringing us together. Keep this beloved day of the Lord, Tabernacles. So this is the closing of Tabernacles, day number 8. So by being the Sabbath, the Shabbat, there should be no buying or selling, no laborious work. Okay. So the name of the day's lesson is the humbling. The humbling.
Conference recording started.
All right. So, like I said, the name of the lesson is the humbling. Okay. So we're gonna open up in 1 Peter chapter 4. What's up, Felipe? Shalom, brother. 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 1. So on this closing, we do have maybe an activity that we're going to try and get to in the sanctuary afterwards. So we're going to try and get to the scriptures, and then get back out. Okay? So who's going to read today? You want to read? You can read. Almost. You gonna read? You gotta read nice and loud. 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 1.
The book of 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 1. For as much then as Christ hath suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind.
Right. So the Bible says that Israel, we should arm ourselves likewise with the same mind, meaning that we should prepare, understand, for humbling, for sufferings. A lot of times, in this truth, the last thing that we want to go through is sufferings. Okay, and I don't think that we understand the reason for sufferings. What's the reason for sufferings? Okay. Yeah, that's right. To give you experience. What else? So that you can do what? So that you can, I can't hear you, to be honest.
Help someone else.
So that you can help somebody else. Okay? That's one reason. Anybody else? Anything else? Okay. Romans 5. Romans 5 and 3.
The book of Romans, chapter 5, and verse 3.
Right.
And not only so, but we glory in tribulation
Stop.
also.
So we glory in tribulations. Be with me. We got to be like one. Okay? We glory in tribulations. So remember the question? What was the initial question? Why do we suffer? So now the scriptures taught us that we should arm ourselves, okay, to be like-minded, to be positive. And when you read Romans chapter 5 and 3, it says that we glory in our sufferings. But here the word is tribulation, because when you can't, what's up, Ak Shalom? I mean, sis, Shalom. If you can't pay the bills, you feel like I'm in trouble. Your cell phone get cut off. I'm in trouble. Can't pay your insurance, I'm in trouble. And etc. I'm in trouble. What's up, brother Andre? But what does the scriptures teach you? Contrary to how we feel. So this is a level that we gotta adapt. We gotta learn. How do we get to this point? How do we get to this level of understanding to where we are going to glory in, what's it say? In tribulation. How do we get there? If you can't answer this question, when tribulation come around, you shook. I ain't gonna even put you to the test and ask you to show me, give me your hands of the people that know. I'm gonna tell you, but before I tell you, I'm gonna leave you in suspense so that you can ponder the right answer or the wrong answer and juggle it around into your mind. How do you get to the point to where you can glory in tribulation? Because it comes. So you got a little softening. You're like, is that what I think it is? Then it show up. Like, damn. That is hard time. That's a bill. I can't, my money ain't right. How do you get through that? How do you get through something like that? Ecclesiastes, 8th chapter. Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and read verse 8.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 8 and verse 8. Despise not the discourse of the wise.
Right. We let him get it. Listen up, pay attention. Because everybody, money gonna be funny. Everybody day gonna be jacked up. Everybody got a judgment that appears to be unjust. Something that ain't right. This ain't fair. This not right. Read it again. Despise not the discourse of the wise. Okay, you gotta read. You gotta be there.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 8 and verse 8. Despise not the discourse of the wise,
Go ahead.
but acquaint thyself with their proverbs.
Right. You're supposed to get acquainted. That means you're supposed to get to know what they tell you. You're supposed to get to know what they tell you. But acquaint thyself with their proverbs. What's a proverb? A saying. They're examples. They're similitudes. They're comparisons. Right? Read the next part.
For of them thou shalt learn instruction.
You're going to learn instruction. You understand that? Hold it for a second. So how do we learn how to deal or glory in tribulation? Because when tribulation comes, we don't know how to glory in tribulation. The first thing we do is get what? Angry. We get upset. You can run into some form of problem or situation, and you could be mad, and you're not mad at anybody, you mad at the situation. Right? You mad at the situation. Then somebody come into your shalom. Somebody come into your space, and now you mad at them. So how do you learn how to glory in tribulation? I'm giving you the answer. Yarael.
Nothing surprising.
Just was the one.
Right, from the wise. From the wise. Because when you get angry and when you get upset, when tribulation or controversy, come, instead of you constantly being offended, you have to go into the wise. And then the wise, and you have to get acquainted with what they tell you. What we tell you. You have to get acquainted with what we tell you. Okay? So now, it says, for of them thou shalt learn instruction. See, that instruction is going to teach you what to do. That instruction is going to teach you how to do it. That instruction is going to teach you when to do it. That instruction is going to teach you why to do it. That instruction is going to teach you all of those things. What's up, Shalom? It's going to teach you all of those things. If you're serious-minded, then you're going to take heed. And you're not going to forget. But if you're carnal-minded, you're going to be full of emotions and passion. You're going to be shook, man. You're going to think the thing that's happening is greater than it is. You're going to put more energy into it than it calls for. Therefore, you're going to be troubled. Okay? So now, it's more. Read the latter part.
And how to serve great men with ease.
And how to serve. You see? It's going to teach you how to serve. Because that's what it all boils down to. Everybody wants to serve. But they don't want to go through that. They don't want to go through that passage, man, of tribulation, controversy. They don't want to go through that passage that opposes them. It don't even have to be the lust of the flesh. It don't even have to be a lust of the flesh. The Lord can put certain things in your life and on the path to teach you, man, so that you can learn, woman, what you're supposed to be doing in this nation and what other people are going through. That's why sometimes you feel like, I don't deserve this. What did I do? I ain't did nothing. Some of you walking around, you ain't doing nothing. You ain't doing nothing. You like, wait a second. I'm doing everything possibly right that possibly can happen. Hey, why? Because this is a part of the training that you're going to need to do the job that you elected to do. You just don't expect it. You just didn't know it. You just didn't understand. So the stuff that you're going to go through is going to help you to serve great. It's going to help you to serve. It's going to help you to serve. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 8. But see, the thing is, I keep leaving something out. What am I leaving out? It's in the precept. I'm not trying to trick you on this. What part am I leaving out? Somebody say it.
I was serving great men with ease.
Okay, what is it?
The great men with ease.
The great men. The great men. I left that out for a reason, because we got to get it through our mind that the situations that we got to deal with, it's going to take it's going to take something greater than ourselves. The great man is much people. Much people. Not so necessarily as I'm gonna deal with somebody greater than myself. That's a natural. When you read Philippians, the second chapter, it teaches us that we to esteem one another greater than ourselves anyway. It teaches us that. But the great is, I can deal with this brother and that sister and this family and that household. I can feed. I'm a fruitful tree to where they can come and they can eat from me and I'm not consumed. I can deal with the greatness of my people, with the experiences that I've been through. But you're going to learn how to deal with that by learning through controversy and situations from the wise that have treaded those waters themselves. Okay? So now, verse 9, Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 9. Go ahead.
Miss not the discourse of the elders.
Miss not the discourse of the elders. Why are we here? See who's following along. Why are we here? To find out what?
Why we go through why we suffer.
How we go through, why we suffer.
How to suffer?
Why are we here? What's up, Tim? Show me. How is a clue. How do we get through tribulations? You got to remember. How do we get through tribulations? Okay. We ain't going back yet, but it was in Romans 5. How to get through tribulations. Everybody go through some form of tribulation. The single people go through tribulation. You go through tribulation. You go through different, what do you call it, anxieties? You go through different anxieties. You go through having panic attacks. All these spirits you get placed to. You go through temper tantrums. You go through loneliness. And you're trying to fight this fight. You can't fight this fight alone. You can't be by yourself with this. The scriptures say, woe to him that is alone. You can't be alone in this situation and in this fight, Israel. You know, you have to learn to go into the wise so that you can get told how to do things. And then you got to turn around and trust the wise. You know, coming up, I did all of that, man. I trusted the wise. I put my faith in the Most High that He would speak through the elders and that what they was telling me was right. So I trusted them basically with my life. I let them steer me. I let them lead and guide me. I let them put words in my mind. And they came out of my mouth. And I taught those things. And they didn't lead me astray. And if I didn't understand something, I just would say I don't understand. I didn't make a fuss out of it. I just said I didn't understand. And then I would be explained and it would be made clear according to the scriptures. See, true worshipers that worship the Father in spirit and truth, they have a true spirit. So you don't have to worry about guile being found in their lips and in their mouths because it's not there. And they're not going to teach you lies. They're going to teach you the commandments, and they're going to tell you the way wherein you must walk and the work that you have to do. And that's how I came up. That's how I developed to be the person that I am today. I didn't just open up the Bible and start reading it and come to these conclusions by myself. It doesn't work like that, man. No. I got rebuked into tears, man. I got corrected. The same way I correct other brothers. Don't play no games. Stand on your feet and give you the option to straighten up or ship out. I had my feet stood on, man. But instead of it being in person, it was over the phone. That's why the young brothers that's long distance, you don't have no excuse, man. You have more than I had. We have more than our foreparents had, because they had letters and they had, you know, they had to wait for a messenger, for somebody to travel to see them, to get it to them, to send it to them. We got this high technology because the Lord allowed it, and he knew that we would need it. So we could see one another's face. We could see one another's countenance. We can hear one another's words. And sometimes, yet still, we don't believe. And it takes us, you know, forever to just humble down. And that's why we're going to pay for it. So we actually got to repent. So when the scripture, Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and 9 say, miss not the discourse of the elders, it means that. Don't sit here and, you know, going to sleep. You know, the prophets taught from sun up to sundown. The only reason why I stopped, because I see you can't take it. That's the only reason I stopped. From sun up to sundown. This is a never, ever, ever, never, ever ending story, man. These prophecies are infinite. The Spirit is infinite. The reason why I go so long is because the Spirit in me, the Lord said, it does not get tired. I do not get tired. If I'm in the camp standing out there, okay, that's one thing. That's the flesh. That's me. Somebody else is prophesying. The Spirit is over there. But if I'm here and I'm teaching, you don't see me get tired. Or, you know, it might work, but I'm not interested in like, okay, I want to quit. Because I'm always looking to help and feed the Spirit. So you cannot miss that, because something is going to be said unto you. For they also learned of their fathers. I respected brothers like father figures, regardless of what their age. The scriptures say experience is old age. Okay? Read the next part.
And of them thou shalt learn understanding.
And of them thou shalt learn understanding. That's how you get through tribulation. Okay? So now, let's go back. So Romans 5 and 3.
The book of Romans, chapter 5 and verse 3. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience.
Right, so knowing that tribulation work patience. So the suffering that we go through, according to 1 Peter chapter 4 and 1, that we have to arm ourselves with, know that the stuff that you go through, excuse me, it's going to work what?
Patience.
It's going to work patience. That means it's going to, what are we patiently waiting for? Think about it. I'll accept answers on this one. What are we patiently waiting for? Wait up.
For our people to repent.
Okay. And for our people to repent, what you think? The kingdom. Anybody else?
We patiently waiting for the Spirit to understand more, to grow, the Spirit to give us experience, you know, and things of that nature, to overcome things that we have a hard time, you know, seeing and doing.
Shrink it. Shrink it. Anybody else?
Experience.
Anybody else? The Most High. Stay with me. Follow along. I'm going to precept to precept, and we go through these precepts and we explain them, but sometimes y'all get lost. You don't have to overthink it. All you got to do is follow along like you're watching a movie. You didn't forget what happened 10 scenes ago. There's a fallout inside the house. Somebody that just come in could be like, what are they talking about? But if you've been watching this television show, you're like, hey, they got mad, got a phone call, they jumped in the car, they sped across town, they got out, they went into the building, and now they're fighting. You didn't forget all of that stuff. So why is it when we go to precept, now it's like you brand new, like I don't know what's going on. You gotta follow this along, man. You're waiting on the Most High. Why? Because if the Most High humbling you, and you're going through certain afflictions, and you're going through certain sufferings, you're not waiting for poo-poo or kiki or pookie. You're waiting on the Lord. You understand? To promote you, to honor you, because before honor come humility. So if you humbling, you're going to humble yourself unto the Most High so that you can now see honor from the Most High, because you want these things to go away. But going through these things, they're going to bring you certain experience. So the answer is that you're waiting on the Lord. But going through that stuff teaches you to wait on the Lord. Do everybody understand that? This is Romans chapter 5 and verse 3. It teaches you to wait on the Lord. What happens if you have no money? Do they give out free money? The answer is no. Ain't no grocers pulling up at your house giving you free groceries, and all the brethren are in likewise circumstances. Most of us have food and raiment and things like that, enough for us, provisions for us. And as our family grow and extended, it's enough for the fam. If we able to cut you something, we can cut you something, but I don't think that you got brothers in a circumstance where now he can just continue to cut and cut and cut and cut and cut and cut. So if you have been humble, you patiently waiting, the tribulation that you go through, you have no choice but to wait. So now who are we waiting on? We're waiting on the Lord.
Yeah.
Everybody understand that? So when you get in the situation, that's who you're waiting on. You're waiting on the Most High. Okay? And waiting on the Most High, it give you experience. That's verse 4. Waiting on the Most High give you experience. That patience that you had to wait, because it's not coming until he see, until he say so. But then, even then, what do you have to do? You have to stay what? You have to stay diligent. Because the things that you're going through, the Most High is putting you to the test. Car breakdown, part expensive. The Most High is putting you to the test. You're like, man, I didn't do anything. You didn't need to do anything. You were created for his purpose. So if you were created for his purpose, and now you got an expensive bill, he gonna put that on you, because guess what? Somebody else gonna come along and they gonna have a high bill and they ain't did nothing, and they're gonna be wondering, and they're gonna be bent out of shape. And you're gonna say, nah, man, this is how you deal with it, brother. Don't get bent out of shape. Send up prayers, man. Save your money and just ask the Lord why. But that's going to teach him how to glory in tribulation, how to be positive in tribulation, like when we started in the third verse. So patience is going to work experience and work how you teach how to do things. And then the experience, when you learn to go through the stuff, It's gonna teach you to keep your hope. Who we hoping in? So you're gonna hope it. I hope it in wisdom. I hope it in deep understanding. I hope it in what? What do you hope in? What are all those answers y'all had? It doesn't matter, because they were, you know, they wasn't completely bullseye. It's going to teach you to keep your hope in the Lord. Because what other choice do we have? Because you can't put your faith in man, because nobody shows up. Cursed be he that trusted in man and maketh flesh his strength. So you can't do that. You got to keep your hope in the Lord. Go to Isaiah. I'll show you that. Jeremiah chapter 17. Jeremiah 17 and verse 5.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 5.
Give him a moment. You hear the pages stop.
Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man.
Right. Cursed be the man. Thus says the Lord. Cursed be the man that trusted in man. You gonna put your hope and faith and trust in man? Nah, brother, that doesn't work. Through all thick and thin, what we're waiting on the Lord. When brothers show up, the Lord sent them. Don't understand? The Lord sent them. You don't depend on man without trusting in the Lord first. You don't put your hope and faith and trust and lay your cards on the table, hoping that a brother or sister do something, but you don't go to the Lord. The Most High would turn their heart. You understand? Because you didn't come to Him. That's what happened to one of the kings in Israel, Asa. He put his faith and trust in the doctors, and the Lord killed him because he sought not the Lord, but he sought the doctors. So when we fall in affliction, you don't get your drawers in a bunch. You don't get all jacked up, all jacked out of shape, all mad because this is not working out, that's not working out, this is not into your favor. You go into the Lord. That's the first thing you do. It doesn't matter what's happening, what's transpiring around you. The world could be on fire. You put your trust in the Lord. You humble yourself, man. Your hands in the sky, your face, your head bowed. However, what happened to the three brothers? Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. Where do you think their faith was? Their faith was in the Most High, in Yahushua, man. Their faith was in the Lord. They were going to the torment. They put their faith in the Most High. And nothing, the fire had no power. It had no power. Man, where do you know that happens in the world? Where fire has no power. That's the same God is still around, looking for Israel to put their faith in Him. When you do, He gonna rise to the occasion, man. You ain't gonna have to worry about nothing when you do that. But that's what you gotta remember. Okay, so Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 5 it is. Read it again.
Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his own.
And make it flesh his own. You know what I'm saying? Make it flesh his own. What is that? That means strength. You gonna make somebody your strength? I depend on you. I can't do it without you. It's not right without you. You can't make it without you. The Lord sitting out there looking at you like, man, you got 10 heads. What's wrong with this one? Okay, go ahead.
And whose heart departed from the Lord.
And whose heart and whose mind departed from the Lord, meaning your mind is not on Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai. Yahweh being God in the name of the Messiah Yahweh Shai, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus. Some of them don't ignorantly, they just do it. That's the translation into the Hebrew. So you don't put your trust in man and make it flesh his own, meaning your strength. I'm gonna let this is the provision, this is the life, this is the help, this is the salvation, this is the deliverance. No, you can't do that. So when something happens, where we started at in 1 Peter chapter 4, we got to arm ourselves. We went to Romans chapter 5 and verse 3, glory and tribulation. We got to be positive when adversity come to us, opposed to being offended by this and by that. Christ knows that a brother or sister is offended by this and offended by that. Every time something come up, you offended. Every time the training exercise, you offended. That's a child. You gotta, the scriptures say, flee youthful lust. You know, we used to coach little children, and we had certain children that would be offended by some of the little exercises. That's before we had the understanding that sports is unlawful. So then me and the brothers and the children, we had a little team and stuff like that. We were coaching. And every time something hard would come up that we wanted them to do, they always laid down on us. We thought that we was just, being mean. It wasn't being mean. We was trying to build their spirit, build their character, build their toughness. By this and by that. You can't do that. Read it again.
Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his own, whose heart departed from the Lord.
Go ahead.
For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh.
He gonna be like what? The heath. Let's get you the definition of what the Lord said you're gonna be like. Y'all let me know when you got it. I got it already. Heath, an area of open, uncultivated land. An area of open, uncultivated land. That means desolate, man. Undeveloped. The Lord said you're going to be like that. Why? Because you trusted in flesh. Your heart departed from the Lord. And it says he shall not see when good coming. Right, because you're going to miss out on it. So this shows you that there'll be bad times and then good times going to come. There'll be bad times and then good times gonna come. All right. So the latter part says, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness. What does the word parched mean? Parched. It says dried out with heat. And a salt land not inhabited. What does that mean the Lord said gonna happen? If you're gonna inhabit the parched places in the wilderness and a salt land not inhabited, what does that mean? What is God saying is gonna happen because of what you did? I think I should just give you the answer by saying that. That's the worst that can be. He said your condition is bad. Parchment and dried out with heat. It's dried out. There's no life in it. And that's because you sought man and sought not the Lord. So no matter what you do in your house, in your bed, you gotta seek the Most High. You gotta pray unto Him. You gotta ask for the help, and you gotta continue to wait on Him patiently. You gotta seek the help out from the elders, and then you gotta consult back unto the Lord, and through prayer, bring your prayer and supplication to Him, and then you gotta keep the faith. I go through the same thing, Israel. And sometimes I have to go through not having the way that I want for a long continuance. That's the spirit of being able to suffer for a long time. And then regardless of what I have to suffer, I know I still got to keep the commandments. Regardless of what the suffering is, I still got to keep the commandments. When things don't go my way and I don't have it the way that I want it, I still got to keep the commandments. And I still got to, shape up, try to get sharper. I still got to keep the commandments. And then a lot of times I still don't get my heart's desire. But I keep my hope. And I'm like, someday the Lord going to come through on this. Just wait. And I'll tell others around me, just wait. It's going to happen. The Lord is going to make it happen. And though sometimes people around you might think that it's something within your control, you can control this. You can control that. But your faith in the Lord knows your spirit is communicating. Everybody is communicating with their God, the Most High. So you got to be patient. You're like, I just got to be patient. I have to be patient. So what do you think? Don't you think the Lord is sitting there looking at you being patient? Yeah, you don't move against His will. Because the counsel if counsel come out, then follow the instruction. We kind of understand what's being said, right? So, verse 7.
Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, in whose hope the Lord is.
Right. Blessed is the man that trusted in the Lord, whose hope the Lord is. So you end up being blessed. All right. He shall be as the tree planted by the waters. Notice trees that are planted by the waters, they stay fed. The roots go very deep. Those trees are very strong. Those trees are never going to be rooted up. It says that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat comes. Right, because even though the heat does come, the tree is never affected because it's grounded, and the roots are constantly being fed by the water. And shall not see when the heat comes, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of what? Drought. You understand that? Right, so this is going into a brother or a sister in the year of drought. Drought meaning when you should be refraining and restraining yourself from this, that, and the third, you good. You good. Everybody understand that? Right. What would make it says, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. Meaning you're not going to stop from bringing forth fruit. What is that fruit? Is it, the hours that you work? Or, wait a second, give you a choice. Is it the hours that you work? Or the hours that you work? Is it the hours that you work? Or attendance in class? For real? The attendance in class? Or what is it? What is the yielding of the fruit? Or is it stuff that you can buy? Or is it the stuff you buying? You're going to continue to be able to buy? What is it? Shall not be careful in the year of drought, meaning restraint, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. It's the application of the scriptures. I was tricking you. Because remember, it's going through hard times, but not this tree here, not this person here. The leaf is not green. The leaf is green. The leaf is not fading away. Meaning this person is not troubled because there are certain things that are present. Shall not be careful in the year of drought. Okay? When others are refraining and constraining themselves and walking on eggshells and watching out because there's a drought, this person is not. This person they doing okay. Neither shall cease, meaning stop from yielding fruit. When a person yields fruit, the fruit of a person is his actions. So regardless of what's happening, this person is going to continue to yield for fruit. And that's how we got to be, regardless of what's happening. We got to yield for fruit. Okay, go to Matthew chapter 13. Matthew chapter 13 and verse 18. I'll read it and give it back to y'all. So y'all share the video, tag somebody in it. Support the General Assembly is something as simple as sharing the video. Okay. Solomon was a man of color, just like his father David, and David's father Jesse, and Jesse's father Obed. But somehow I think you know that. So Matthew chapter 13. Why don't you follow the lesson? Matthew chapter 13 and verse 18. It says, hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understanding it not, then come the wicked one and catcheth away that which is sown in his heart. Now, most of the time people play games with, they don't understand something. The reason is the flesh. What is the flesh doing? Warring. Or the spirit. Your spirit is warring against the flesh. You understand? And the flesh against the spirit. And therefore, you get a lot of people like, I don't understand. So you hear the word coming in, and then you get this work going on. So when anyone heard the word of the kingdom and understanding it not, so they were like, I don't understand. Then come what? The wicked one. Because Satan only comes when? Through your desire, through your lust. Okay, so you follow me, it's good. But when he come, look at what the scriptures is saying is going to happen. He's going to catch it away, that which was sown in his heart. So he's going to take away the precepts, the commandments, the laws, the scriptures, the sayings, the proverbs. He's going to take all of these things out of your mind if he sees that you lusted. This is he which receiveth seed, what? By the wayside, meaning not on good ground. But he that receiveth seed into what? Stony grounds. Now, I'm going to paint this picture for you. Okay? So just imagine concrete, cement. Imagine somebody paved a sidewalk. The way that they get this cobblestone look or the pebble look, then the concrete, the cement turns brown. The way that they get that is they pour it, they finish it, and then they spray a solution on it, and then they cover it up. Then they come back, and then they uncover it, and then they power wash it, and then the top layer of the cement goes away, but it leaves all the stone. It sees the rocks. So now that we got our sidewalk, let's make the sidewalk where you see all the stones. You see, you see the stones, the little rocks, the brown rocks. Now those are people. Those are people, right? So now, but those people are stones, because you see the top of it is brown. Those are hard-headed people. So now you're going to sow seed on top of the stones, on top of that cement with those hard-headed people. So when you're in the midst of that concrete path, which is made of people, which are hard-headed people, and you're right in the midst of that, how do you expect to change or have faith or be delivered from some place that you mentally and emotionally have attached yourself? You actually want to be there. So now, back to the scripture. We at Matthew chapter 13 and verse, what was that? 20. But he that receiveth the seed into what? Stony places, right? Right, we threw it out there on the concrete. The same is he that heard the word, and anon means immediately, with joy, receive it because it sounds good. It's so good, it sounds positive. They're like, wow, hey man, oh, praises. That's, I see that, I understand that. You understand that in the midst of what? Where are we standing? Stony places. You're in the midst of a whole bunch of people. Did you get there by force? Nobody forced you to get there. How'd you get out there? Your desire. You walked out there. So now let's keep going. Yet have he not root in himself. How could he grow root? Remember our analogy. Remember our example. How can that seed grow root? Where is that seed at? Stony places. You can't grow root. You're in the wrong place. You can't grow there. And that's what's up with a lot of people. But do it for a while. So now, how is that possible? Think, Israel. How is that possible? Sometimes a little mud slide over on the ground. A little mud do what? Slide over on the ground. It slide over on the ground. It says, for when tribulation, now we're out there on stony ground. So now some type of tribulation or persecution arises. because of the word. Remember, when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, when the word is about what? Proverbs 6:23, we don't have to go there. We got too many precepts open. Reproof of instruction. Right? So you in the midst of that stony ground, and what's out there? Nothing but sin. So now you got to get corrected. So now you're going through tribulation or some type of persecution while in this word. What's happening? By this and by that, he is offended. Everybody understand that? That's no place that you want to be. And a person like this is not someone that's going to check in to the wise during tribulation. They don't know how to make it out of tribulation. Because the answer was, how do we, how the question was, how do we get through tribulation? How do we deal with it? By going into the wise. The wise will reprove you. When the wise see you out there, stumbling amongst the stones, the scriptures teach us, go not in the way wherein thou mayest fall, and stumble not amongst the stones. So when somebody is wise, see you in the midst of a bad situation, they definitely going to begin to rebuke what you're doing. Out of love, yes, we got love for you, but we have no love for sin, nor tolerance level. So then that sin is going to be rebuked. And most of the time, we are protecting the sin that we're doing. Therefore, we won't come into the wise. And if we get caught out there, we're going to be offended. That's not what you want to do. Because in some shape, form, or fashion, you may even think that that sin is going to advance you. And that's where you go wrong at. Jeremiah 17:5 was correcting us by telling us, if you put your faith and trust in stony places, the Lord is not going to be there to help and support you. The Most High will be against you. Okay? Now, go to Isaiah, verse 31. Isaiah chapter 31 and verse 1.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 31 and verse 1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses, and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord.
Right. So the Lord doesn't even want us to solely rely on. Remember, America is the new Egypt. What's another word for? Well, I already gave you one part of it, one clue. So here it says Egypt. Now I'm saying America. Warn to them that go down into Egypt for help. What's another way of the Lord doesn't want you to depend upon America? How does America help the Israelites? Just think. That one's not a hard question. How does it help the complete nation of Israel? Mainly 100% of us. Oh, I ain't talking about the ones that, remember that little skit? What's that, Trick Daddy? Trick Baby? The ones that they got. No, not them. They already gone. But everybody else, how does America help us? So there you go. What'd you say?
Government assistance.
Government assistance. Government assistance. So I know some of you might be like, wait a second, man. Sham, are you saying that we can't get the government assistance? Nope. Government assistance. People rely so much on government assistance that you could be breaking the commandments of the Lord. You would put your faith and trust in the government that it will cause you to break the commandments of the Lord. How? I give you an example. It started back in some, if I'm wrong, someone can definitely correct me. 40s they didn't care, 50s they didn't care. Let's say somewhere around the 60s. I wish I really had the actual statistics and when all of this stuff really happened, but
Right after that, that's when Black Panthers was
in the 60s, they began to bring forth the government assistance to where you had what they call, what is that? What was it? Is it still, it's Section 8 now. What was it then? Public housing, public housing. Public housing, food stamps. Right now they call it EBT. What does the EBT stand for? Eggs, biscuit, and tacos. I gotta put that year in there.
Electronic benefit transfer.
Electronic benefit transfer. So this is how you could be this is how you could be in sin dealing with the government assistance. Say for instance they tell you that your man can't stay in the house. You're married. The man can't stay in the house because they did that. They started that back then. And he can't stay in the house if they're going to pay for your apartment. So now you have to put your man out of the house. Y'all raising children. These people are trying to break up the Israelite home. So you're going to obey the voice of the Pharaoh? You're going to be afraid of Egypt? Or you're going to fear the Lord? That's just one example. All right? So people put their faith and their trust. They actually did that. And they were so bold to where they would actually used to come into the apartments and look for men's items, toothbrushes, shoes, clothing. I saw clips where they did that. Yeah. You know, I was I know that this to be true. I was like, I don't know, maybe 22, and staying with my older children, their mom. And I don't know if I had it, I just remember this vividly. It's been a great while ago. Baby, she told me that, and I didn't know it was like this, but they would sit outside the apartment and they told her that they told her where I drove, and they had to make sure that before they took it away, the housing from her, that I was coming and going. They gave her times when I would come, times when I would go, the whole 9 yards. And that was crazy. The only thing they wanted to establish was there was a man in the house. And because there was a man in the house, that took her eligibility away to have public housing. Before, they used to come into the house in the 60s. And this was the 90s. Yeah, this was happening. This was in the 90s, man, when they did that. So these demons, they were bold then, they still bold now. They won't give you assistance if you got a man. So Israel, you can't rely on that the way that the way that you think you can. You put that faith and trust in them, the Lord gonna penalize you. Warn to them that go down to Egypt for help, because that'll also cause you to be snobbish, be disrespectful. You'll be calling that housing. What you be calling that house? My house. Yeah, this is my house. Get your own. You won't even go to work. It'll turn you into a slug. You'll be slothful. And stay on horses. And trust in chariots. That's the whole government system right there. The police, the court system. A lot of people take one another to court. You go in your cities, you go into the courtroom, it's all jakes battling each other. Heathen judge. You think the Lord gonna let that slide? The Most High not gonna let that slide. He gonna get you. Trust and believe. It says, because there are many. You say you trust in that because it's many. And we be dealing like that one with another. And in horsemen, because they are very strong. The horsemen, right, the man and the horse. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. These situations that we get into, we got to be seeking the Most High. Our brothers paying attention? You got to pay attention to the point to where this is the understanding of the precepts. You can help somebody else with this. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil, and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of the evildoers and against the help of them that work iniquity. Now the Egyptians are men, not God. The Americans are men. They not a God. They not the Most High. You can't think of them above that which you're supposed to. They're horses of flesh, not spirit. All right? So you can't put your faith and trust. And in other words, the moral of the story is in nobody but the Most High. So let's lose that. Go back to Romans chapter 5. Romans chapter 5 and we stop at 4. So patience, experience. So we go through this tribulation and teach you to wait on the Lord and trust in the Most High, regardless of what your circumstance is. And then that patience is going to teach you experience. And then experience the hope. Right? And the Lord, He ain't gonna let you down, man. Let's see. It should be Ecclesiasticus chapter 2. Concerning the hope. And 10, read that. Ecclesiasticus 2 and 10. The water read it for you. Go ahead.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 2 and verse 10. Look at the generations of old, and see, Did ever any trust in the Lord?
Right, that word trust is also hope. Did ever any hope in the Father? Go ahead.
And was confounded.
Right, and was confounded. You know, what does the word confounded means? Right, confused. Let's get the definition of it. Okay, so it's confound. It says cause surprise or confusion. And so the synonyms: amazed, astonished, dumbfounded, staggered, surprised, startled, stunned, shake, shook, confused. When somebody put their trust in the Lord, when they put their hope in the Most High, you might have had to wait. You might have had to wait, but the end result, you know, you're not going to end up lost. That's something that we got to learn how to do, is wait. We got to learn how to exercise patience. The scriptures say let patience have what type of work? A perfect work, man. Yeah. So you got to use the experiences. All right, Ambassador Dar Shalom. You got to use the experiences that you've been through to teach you that if it's, instant gratification, sometimes things are too good to be true. They was too good to be true. You got to let the patience bring something better, because it's always something better, always something better. You got to be patient and let the Most High work for you, work in His faith. The way that I look at it, I used to always be like, the Most High is going to do something for me, and sometimes either it's got to happen or it's going to happen from someplace else or somebody else. So while He's preparing me, and while I got to be patient, now He's got to move somebody else in a situation to where they could be put in my path so that I can get what it is that I need to get. Do you kind of understand? So, like, He moved us, He moved them. Our crossroads, because we're in the flesh. God is a spirit. So our interaction with people and one another is what basically helps us out. So we basically have to wait for the perfect situation, is all I'm saying. And sometimes it takes time. I give you an example. The young brothers. The Most High, somewhere, is in women, sisters' life, building them like He's building y'all. That's true. All women are not wicked. The same way that you don't want no BS, there are some sisters out here that don't want no BS. And the same way that you trusted in the Most High with all your heart, and you're not leaning to your understanding, and you submitting yourself, there are sisters that's out there that's doing the exact same thing. But you gotta trust the Lord, even though that you don't see that. You gotta know the Father. So you being prepared and they being prepared. You can't move out of turn, because if you move out of turn, you're gonna end up with some old evil woman that just want to give you legs and thighs. Her spirit ain't in it. She's a deviant. She's a spirit, brother. That's a spirit that's possessed by other spirits. So you gotta, let patience have a perfect work, that you'll be whole and complete and entire, wanting nothing. Does that make sense? If you see it, then it's not what is it? Hope or faith, hope for, faith, hope for. If you see it. So you know, you ain't gonna be able to see it right now. You just gotta be patient. And that's the reward that once it comes to pass, you gonna blow your mind, gonna be blown. You understand? When it happens, then let's just drink tea together. You get what I'm saying? We're gonna toast the tea. You understand? You're gonna be like, yo, brother, you was right. I just cannot believe this, man. This fine. Hallelujah. I'm gonna be happy for you. We're gonna toast the tea. Ching and everything. But I'm gonna toast with you if you go off. No, I ain't gonna say nothing to you, man. God forbid that. All right. So now, look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was what confounded, or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? What is the fear of the Lord? Who kept the commandments of the Most High and was not disobedient, and then by doing so, the scriptures say they got forsook? It doesn't work like that. You don't get forsook if you keep the fear of the Lord. You get blessed. It's written. Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? Because that's the whole thing, man. When you're in trouble, when you're in problems, you got to call upon the Lord and not put your faith and trust in man. So in the humbling that the Lord taking you through, he taking you through that so that you can call upon him, so that you can try and understand your way. Because the going that you going of is, it comes from him. So now let's lose that. And back to Romans chapter 5 and verse 5.
The book of Romans, chapter 5 and verse 5.
Okay.
And hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of the Lord of God is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Ghost, which is given unto us.
Right. We understand that. Hope make it not ashamed, because the love of God is shared. What is the love of God? The keeping of the commandments. The understanding of the Lord is in our mind at this point by the Spirit, which he gave to us. So you go through all of that, and the end of it, you get the Spirit. Right? So now, let's go back to where it began. 1 Peter chapter 4. And verse 1.
The book of 1 Peter, chapter 4 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
For as much then as Christ hath suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind.
Okay, so can you believe that all this stuff that we just talked about was when it went through Christ's mind? Wasn't he himself found with doctors and lawyers questioning and asking them questions and giving them answers? The scriptures teach us that he suffered. So in his sufferings, he was found faithful. He didn't just, he counted upon the Most High, but he also had people that he could go to. Come on, man. Is y'all not, is this going in? I hope it is. Right? Right. So how do we get through tribulation? We're being humble. How do we get through it? We reach out for help, right? So you got to arm yourself. For he that have suffered in the flesh have what? Ceased from sin. So the sufferings that we go through, you're going through these sufferings because you denying yourself the worldly lust. You're refraining from doing certain things. That's why you're going through the sufferings, my man. You understand that? So you can't bug out. Verse 2.
That he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lusts of men, but to the will of God.
Right. So why are we suffering? Why does men suffer? Why do men suffer? It tells you that, in verse 2.
To no more live.
That he should no longer live the rest of his time in the flesh. So you choose to suffer. Because when you deny yourself of committing that sin, there is a suffering. That's one thing, and the other is for the glory of God, for our experiences, right? Right. It says, verse 3, we'll get there, go there.
For the time past,
Right, a little louder.
for the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles, when we walk in lasciviousness, lusts, excess of wine, revelings, banquetings, and abominable idolatries.
Right, so the will of the Gentiles are all these nations. We did unlawful things. And in time past, we did that. Lasciviousness, bumping and grinding, lust. Lust covers a multitude of sins. Smoking, that's a lust. Smoking weed, that's a lust. Not being a prophet of the Lord, Slovakia, I got it out. Not being a prophet of the Most High, that's a lust. Not wanting to teach the Bible, that's a lust. How we a kingdom of priests and you forsake the law? Do you not know what that's like? Let me give you an example of what's this like. Use your imagination. We're almost finished. Use your imagination. What if the police didn't want to be the police anymore? Huh? What if the police didn't want to be the police no more? They just didn't go in. They left the police cars sitting at the station. They left the guns in the closet. We just ordinary people. They start saying that. You know what I'm saying? The government gonna be like, what the hell? What are you doing? You understand? Hey man, that's what happened. Israel, you gone off, man. How you not want to? That's a lust, man. How you not want to be a kingdom of priests? Because you got in your mind what the wrong idea of what a priest is. You think this red demon, who's a child molester, Pack will kiss him, is a damn priest. He ain't no priest, man. That's a demon, man. With a sheet on, man. We are the priests of the Most High. The priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the.
Conference muted.
No, you don't. And they should. They should. Oh my goodness. What is that? What is the unmute thing?
Conference unmuted. There are 1 attendees in this conference.
Somebody's spying. If ain't nobody there, how you gonna mute the conference? Yeah, I think we'd be tripping. So, that ain't no priest. These Israelites that's teaching and preaching this Bible, they are the priests. You brothers are the priests. How does the rest of the men don't want to do that? They want to show their booty cheeks as a man. What man showing booty cheeks? Dusty underclothes. The clothes don't even, drawers don't even look like you've been changing them, bro. You was the Ak and don't know it. Your drawers, man. You didn't change the drawers. Then get you some new drawers and an attitude, man. And a belt. in a seat so you can learn first. So that's the lust. Y'all think that let's go to Maccabees, man. Very quickly. Second Maccabees 4. Second Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 12.
The book of Second
No.
Maccabees.
I got it. I got it. I'm gonna speed up a little bit because we still got activities. Second Maccabees chapter 4 and 12. For he gladly built a place of exercise under the tower itself, brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. So we know that's sports. Now, listen here. Now such was the height of Greek fashions. So all the Greeks, what's the height of their fashions? Sports. Even today, the ceiling ain't nothing more important than Greek fashions. Think about it. Everybody scratch their head. Can you find something that's better than Greek fashions? Better than sports? You can't think of nothing that they feel better about than sports. Every sport they pack. Baseball, pack. Football, they go crazy over. College football, they go fanatics over. They pack the stands. Huh? Yeah, they shut down days for it, man. The height of Greek fashions. Okay? Now, and increase of what? Heathenistic manners. Through the profaneness, exceeding profaneness of chasing that ungodly wrench, and no high priest. Check it out. Verse 4 is the point that the priest had no courage to serve anymore at the altar, but despising the temple. So the priest didn't want to be priest. And neglecting the sacrifices, the people would come looking for help and say, no, sacrifice is closed for the day. Hasten, wait a second, I thought you had no courage. But now they had the spirit to be partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise after the game of discus. Called them for. Called who for? Called the priest for. So now you see, instead of the priest being at the temple doing the service of the Lord, they were at the gymnasium. They out there exercising. Just imagine a whole priesthood out in the back like this. Hey man, hey, so you just wait a minute. The school ain't open. They out there at the gymnasium. They at the gym, stretching their groins, so they don't pull a muscle. They're like, wait a minute, man. Now, check this out. I'm laughing. It says they brought the chief young men. So these were young dudes. Just like we see our young boys now. They have forsaken being the kingdom of priests. That's why it's so sad. You know, but they don't, that's why you got to go out there with that spirit of forgiveness to them. Because they don't know, man. They under a dark umbrella of forgetfulness. And that's why you got to go out there in the spirit of the Most High, man. Just not being afraid of them, but having a conversation. Peradventure, you can get them out of the snare of the devil. If they want to hear it. if they want to hear it. Go out there and just, you don't have to. Most of the time people be thinking, I gotta make something up. I'm not making nothing up. I didn't even make this up. You didn't see no paper, no pen. You understand? You don't have to make something up. The Spirit is speaking, man. You go out there in the Spirit of the Most High in Christ. You don't have to rehearse. I'm gonna with the script. Yeah, man, it's a script. I got it all wrote down what I'm gonna say to him. See, that's why it ain't happened yet, because you're thinking about I'm gonna script it. Christ said, "Don't carry a script, man. It's not you that speak it, but the Father which is in heaven that speaketh to you." That's Matthew 10:20. So, we lived in lust. 1 Peter chapter 4 and 3. Excess of wine. You was doing all your drinking. Revelings, banquetings. Okay? Banquetings with the food that even if, I ain't going to keep going into it. Abominable idolatries. It says, "Warn they think it's strange that you run out with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evilly." You go through all of this, when you have to refrain yourself from doing all of this because of the word, that preparation is for your life to go without this. Yes, that's a humbling, man. You can't do it no more. That's a self-affliction that each and every last soul has got to do to his or herself. Okay? It says, "Who shall give an account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead?" That means you're going to give an account to Christ. For this cause was the gospel preached also to them that are what? Them that are dead, that they might be judged according to men in the flesh. What does that mean? It's exactly what it says. Other than they were not dead, they were just rebellious, they were just in sin. So for this cause was what? The Bible, the law, statutes, and commandments, taught also to them that were in the streets, that was in the club, that was smoking, that was drinking, that were fornicating, they were unlawful, that they might be judged according to men in the flesh. Meaning they're going to be judged according to somebody that did have a heart that's possible of change. So when you go out there in the Spirit, you go out there to talk to them. You don't go out there to smite them. Because if you smite them, they just get harder. But if you speak to them, then the flesh softens up. The hardness softens up. It turns into flesh. Do we see it and understand it?
Mm-hmm.
You sure? Y'all see it? Let me know so I can keep going. DeAndre, you lost? So when they be judged according to men in the flesh, if you're dead, that means you're in sin. If you're in the flesh, if you got a heart of flesh, that means you got a mind that's changeable. So when you go out there and you teach somebody something, you have the faith that this brother or that this sister, that they could change. You're not speaking evil to them. You're not dealing evil with them because they're in sin. You're talking to them like, hey man, you're a human being, you're another person, you're just a brother. Regardless of what your sin is. If they choose to ball that flyer up and throw it away or put it on the ground, that's on them. If they choose to walk away and do the complete opposite, that's on them. But they can never turn and say that you said something or you did something to them. You treated them like they were dead. You treated me like I wasn't nothing. You talked to me like I wasn't nothing. They should never be able to say that about a servant of Christ. Because we dealt with them like they were what? Like they were flesh. Like they had a heart of flesh. You understand? Like you don't go out there and dehumanize a person like the heathens do us. You understand? They look at you and they don't even realize, man, that you're flesh and blood. They don't even realize that you are somebody's son, you are somebody's daughter, this is somebody's mother, this is somebody's grandmother. But that's part of the curse, that they're not going to show favor to the young nor the old. But you got to do that, okay? Then it says, but live according to God in the Spirit. That means that that person is subject to change and then subject themselves unto the Father. Okay? But the end of all things is at hand. Be therefore sober and watch unto prayer. What is the end of all things? Meaning playing games is over. It's over. You can't play ignorant. Okay? And above all things, have what? Fervent charity. That means turn the heat all the way up. Whoosh! The hot eye, the one that caused the water to burn, that should be you. You should have a burning spirit towards what's right. Okay? Above all things, have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover a multitude of sins. Why is that? Because charity is about the spirit to just basically behave right towards one another. And if you can do that, you're going to be offending less. That's why it says it's going to cover a multitude of sins. You're going to be offending less, man. The way that you talk, the way that you look, the way that you think, the way that you feel. Okay? And use hospitality one to another without grudging. Don't do it because you're forced to do it. Don't do it because somebody have to ask you to do it. Learn to use hospitality because that's the hospitality that you will want if you in somebody else's presence. Verse 10, as every man have received the gift, that means the ability, right? Even so, minister the same, meaning do it to someone else because somebody did it to you. Do it one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God, meaning the much things that the Lord has bestowed and given to you, give it back. Okay? Let's see. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God. Remember, what's the name of this class? Being humble, right? The humbling, right? Right. So if you humble, but can you get out of the spirit? You can't get out of the spirit. Can you vent because you feel some type of way? Nope. Because a person going to tell you, calm down, easy, watch what you're saying. Hey, okay, stop it, wait a minute. How many times, you don't have to show hands, how many times of a person you've been in the midst of speaking and now somebody is trying to deal with you and you and you need to yell, you need to talk, and you can't do that. The only thing you can do is come out the word. Come out the word. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which God giveth, that God in all things may be glorified through Christ, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Beloved, think it not strange concerning what? The fiery trial which is to try you. So when we living, and now all of a sudden, we going through what? Hard temptations and fiery trials. We not to think that, wow, man, this is something that's strange, We can't think that. Well, what is this? Why is this? Nah, man, this is a part of growing. You know that it's time to get a bigger shoe because your foot is growing. You're not bugged out and freaked out because now you go from a size 8 to a 9.5. You're like, well, hey, you just don't do that. So now that the Father is requiring much from us, there are those of us, we're going to go through different trials, fiery trials. What's the root word of fiery? Fire. And we learn that we're going to go through these trials that involve fire to see what sort of work that we have. Whether it's what? What's the top? Gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, and stubble. It's going to see what type of actions that you bring forth. And so every man's work is going to be tried by this fire. And you can't pick and choose. You have no control over what trial is going to come upon you. Your trial going to be different from his. Yours going to be different from mine. Yours going to be different from hers, and hers will be different from hers. But they all going to involve one common element, and that's fire. And that fire is a destructive fire. It's going to show you where you at. And whatever come out the smoke, that's what you're going to have to deal with. Can you build with that? If you can't build with that, then you're going to have to start over. Because it's going to be proved and you're going to be saved. Yeah, by what? By fire. Okay? Everybody understand? 1 Peter 4 and 12. Beloved, think it not strange concerning what? The fiery trial which is to try as though some strange things happen unto you. You want to start the communion now? But rejoice inasmuch as you are partakers of what? Yahushua's sufferings. That when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding glory. Okay? What is his glory? You'll be partakers of his sufferings. That meaning so when his glory shall be revealed. Meaning your purpose. So, because some people don't understand their purpose. Some people don't understand their calling. Others don't know why they're alive. Why am I here? What am I in the truth for? Some of you still fighting against the truth. You better, if you're fighting against the truth, you better stop it. Because it doesn't end well for the stubborn-hearted, the hard-hearted. You're going to be as stubborn in the chaff. What if some do not believe? Should their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? That means you ain't going to even phase the Most High. The fallen and the slain of the Lord shall be many, and without number and count. We'll get that last one, and then that's it. What was that in? Psalms, I believe. Man, they gonna be toast.
Job 34.
Is it? Yeah, okay. Job 34, I said Psalm, I'm sorry. Job 34. To me, those two go together. Job 34 and what's that? Psalms what? Psalms 38. Job chapter 34 in verse 21. It says, oh, huh? When I say huh, y'all say huh? Job 34 and 20. In a moment shall they die, and the people shall be troubled at midnight, and pass away, and the mighty shall be taken away without hand. For his eyes are upon the ways of man, and he seeth all his doings. And there is no darkness, nor shadow of death, where the workers of iniquity may hide themselves. For he will not lay upon man more than right, that he should enter into judgment with God. You can't take the Lord into judgment. You can't be asking God why this and why that. Because he created us, not we ourselves. And he knows what's good for us, not we ourselves. We're the creation of him and the work of his hands, and not we ourselves. For he shall break in pieces mighty men without number. Mighty, the Lord said strong men. He shall break in pieces and set others in their stead. And that means he's going to set up people. So for everyone that falls by the wayside, he have somebody to replace you. Therefore he knoweth their works, and he overthroweth them in the night, so that they are destroyed. He striketh them as wicked men in the open sight of others. A lot of these people, they get killed right out in the open. And those be the ones that the crowd is slinging snot over, not really realizing that they are unproductive in the nation of Israel. They have forsaken their love, their first love. As children, the children love God. You believe in God? They're like, yeah. Ain't he so nice? They're like, yeah, right, because they just come from him. You understand? The Lord, the Most High, be communicating with them. What is that? Because they turn back from him. See that right there? Right. When you turn back from him, you set to hit the ground, man. And everybody gonna see you. Your toes gonna be face up, or you gonna be flat on your face. They gonna be face down. But you definitely gonna be struck down. It says, and would not consider any of his ways. So that shows you that somebody had to talk to you, because you didn't know his ways. You wasn't thinking about his ways. He had to send somebody to you saying, this is the way. As a matter of fact, preaching Christ, because his way is Christ. He sent Christ to give us his way. And Christ is the truth. He said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. So that they caused the crowd of poor to come up unto him. So you were abusive. He heard the crowd of afflicted. All right, so I don't want to go off into something else, but I think the moral of the story is when the Lord humble us, Israel, he humble us for a reason, so that we could, return unto him and not get shook by anything that he's doing with us. All right, so with that, I'm going to say Shalom, and we're going to close it out in Matthew chapter 26. Matthew chapter 26, verse 6. It says, now when Yahushua, whom the world calls Jesus, understood it, he said, Salakia, now when Yahushua was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he served meat. When his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Yahushua understood it, whom the world calls Jesus, he said unto them, why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye are the poor always with you, but me you have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body. She did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached to the whole world, there shall also this that this woman hath done be told for memorial of her. So all praises to the Most High for giving this us to the Spirit to come forth and give Christ some comfort for his burial, and set a beautiful example, of a broken and contrite heart, which the Lord said he does not despise. So 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and 23. 1 Corinthians 11 and 23. Okay, so now it says, for I received of the Lord, so some say Lord, we say Hamashiach, meaning the Messiah, which I also delivered unto you, that Hamashiach Yahushua, who people say Lord Jesus, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread, and when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, take, eat, this is my body which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also, he took the cup when he had supped, saying, This cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as you drink it in remembrance of me. So Christ is telling the Israelites that they would take this cup and they would sup. And when they would sup, they would have a remembrance of him. So far, our remembrance of him is, what we're dealing with today concerning the sufferings of Christ that we would have to arm ourselves with. All right. So now, for as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you do show the Lord's death till he come. Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. But let a man examine himself, so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily, eateth and drinketh damnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. So Israel, if you have the communion, now will be the time to get the unleavened bread and the wine. Okay? And for this cause, many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep. For if we would judge ourselves, that we should not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord, that we should not be condemned with the world. Okay, so all praises to the Most High, Israel. Sometimes you would have to tilt it so I can see. Which one of them was like holding on to it? Sandman. Remember one of them little dudes long time ago?
Yeah.
Do you remember? You say you caught one of them holding on to the cup. Before we knew any better. A long time ago,
Yeah.
the children used to do the communion. And God said that he saw one of the little kids holding on to the cup like. Yeah, we were stripping. We didn't know. We was giving them wine. Not that much. Everybody did communion. The whole assembly. The whole school. That we wasn't? Yeah, we did, wasn't it? Yeah. You wasn't there? You didn't get none? The women wasn't breaking bread?
No.
That's right. Sisters wasn't breaking bread either. Yeah, sisters couldn't. Sisters wasn't breaking bread. Yeah, Israel, we've been through some stuff. We've weathered the storm.
Yes.
Sisters wasn't breaking. We did some bugged out stuff. All right, Most High, in the name of Christ, thank you for the food and drink, amen. This is his body which is broken for you. Kiss his blood. All right, Israel, we do the communion live so that all Israel could see. Every repentant Israelite should be communing because it's written in the scriptures for us to do it. Okay? So with that, that's it. Israel, Shalom. We're going to stand and face Jerusalem. Please stay around for the prayers, all right? So. Okay, Israel.
If every man was just like me, what kind of sanctuary would this be?
Matthew 6 and 9. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
The laborer's prayer, Luke 10 and 2. Therefore said he unto them, the harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. Bless you, Most High King of heaven and earth, and all things, Most High name of Christ. Send more disciples and teachers to your harvest, to gather your people Israel. And send counsel behind your laws to stimulate the people Israel. Give to us strength to break down our lives with the word. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
The blessing of Israel, Numbers chapter 6 and 24. Children of Israel, the Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
And children of Israel, bless one another.
Most High name of Christ bless you all.
What's up, Tim, Damon, Shalom? Most High Christ bless. Huh? Remember when they couldn't come to class? Right. Yeah, we come a long way, man.
We actually will.
Yeah. They sat on one side. A lot of people still doing that. Yeah. Sisters can't sit with brothers. What scripture is that? Once I pop, be blessed and waking up with just. Oh yeah, brother, show on man. Felipe, what's up, brother? Jazreel, what's up, sis? Tomorrow at even. Today is the closing. Today is the closing. Sabbath tonight. Right now, you're in the Sabbath. So, who's on, what's this, YouTube? Who's on YouTube? Shalom, who's on YouTube? What's up, Francisco? Shalom. Dinah, all praises, sis. All praises to the Most High. Shalom. We definitely miss y'all tonight. I think y'all try to get out of singing. Tam at home talking about she got something wrong. She ain't feeling too good. She knows she was supposed to go first.
We on the way.
Yeah, the water said he on the way to get y'all. Princess Shalom, sis. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Shalom. Huh? Yes, yes. Yeah. So Israel, we supposed to be doing something tonight. You know, we're supposed to have some singing and dancing, like a little talent show or something. Israel's supposed to display their talent. You starved yourself thinking it ended tonight. Somebody Why would you starve yourself? It's a feast. So I'm trying to find out, are they still doing what they, I didn't cook or order. Are they still? They gonna do what they do? Kenyatta. What, they're gonna have it? You're gonna do it?
They said they ready.
Oh yeah, they're ready. All right. All right, Israel. So I'm gonna end this thing, and I guess we're gonna go back live and start. Or maybe I should just put it on the end of this. All right, Israel. We're gonna start a different one. All right. I'm gonna hang up and start. What's up, Judah? Hey, all praises, man. Shalom. Shalom, man. Glad you was able to make it out. So before I go, any questions? Any questions before I go? Hey, Kenyatta. Kenyatta. The same thing gonna happen.
Huh?
The same thing gonna happen. Time gonna get away. Okay, what?
Beauty, I'm saying? I'm ready.
You ready?
They ready. They downstairs.
All right. So I'm gonna let y'all go, and we're gonna start the live back up. They finna do some singing, so y'all can see. So when y'all see it, jump back in, cause they finna do some singing. All right. All right, y'all. So, all right, jump back in. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go live on YouTube. I try. All right.